In today's video, I am going to share a story, but I am also going to talk about a topic that I think is important, not necessarily for people that are using or in early recovery, but for loved ones or significant others, friends, family of someone who is, or you think may be abusing opiates. Now, I was on Dr. Drew's show, I guess it was about 6 months to 8 months ago, I believe, right around that time frame. And they called me up late in the afternoon and said that the person they were going to have on backed out. They had gotten a reference from me from Anderson Cooper's show, and they called me on a whim, said, hey, can you come on, call in and talk to our panel about opiate addiction and recovery. And I didn't know what they were going to be talking about besides that, or how in depth they were going to get. I wasn't allowed to watch the show because it could cause interference with the phone call. So I didn't even pay attention. I didn't try to sneak in and try to see what they were talking about at all. So I was kind of thrown to the wolves when I answered the phone call and they were talking about Prince, because Prince had just passed away from his overdose. And they were talking about how you can tell if somebody's abusing opiates. And the panel had 3 doctors, including Dr. Drew, or 4, including Dr. Drew. And here's little old me, who's not a medical doctor, but I lived a life and I talked to thousands of people a year, and over the past 8 years, probably a few 100,000 people. And it was weird because I'm not saying that they were off completely, but they were pretty much in right field where they shouldn't have been in at home plate. And what bothered me is that they were saying that you can tell right off the bat if somebody's abusing opiates. And I said, that's not true. Even if somebody experiences me talking with somebody, there's usually some tells that will give away if somebody's abusing, but you can't tell 100% or not. Because you can walk right by somebody and not know that they have a problem. And the reason I say that is when I was using, I was deep in, and I would go meet up with a dealer or something in a parking lot, and I would see other cars in that parking lot that I knew were there for the same reason as but they were people I went to high school with, or people that I knew from other people and like acquaintances. And these were white collar people, accountants, that have their CPAs, and well-established human beings that worked their tails off to get to where they are financially, and here they are, trying to get their drugs just like me. And I would never know in a million years that they were using. Okay, so the fact that they're sitting in a parking lot shows that they're kind of desperate for drugs, because it's not safe to buy drugs in a parking lot. It's not safe to buy drugs anywhere, but that's a really bad place to do it, especially like a Wawa or 7-Eleven or a convenience store parking lot. You're an idiot if you don't get out of the car and go buy something. If you just pull in and sit in your car, you're up to something. So my point is that, you can't always tell. And I'd say about a good 30 to 40% of the people I talk to are housewives or, stay-at-home moms who, had work done on their teeth or whatever caused them to try an opiate. And they realize, all right, this gives me some energy. It puts me in a good mood to deal with my kids, because, kids are a handful when you're with them every day. They can become pains in the ass, and that's normal. But they realize, if I take this stuff, I like my kids more. I'm more willing to play with them. I have more energy to do housework and take care of things. I'm more willing to take on more projects in the home. And before they know it, they're hooked, because they've been taking this stuff every day for a month. And they continue on because they realize, all right, I can't get sick because I got to take care of these kids. No one else is going to take care of them. And you can't go through withdrawals while taking care of kids and a home. It's not like a job where you can just call out. Moms are always on duty. There's no calling out. So a lot of them find themselves pinned up against the wall, and they're like, shit, I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place because I can't take off time. I can't take off, 3 or 4 or 5 days to go through withdrawals because my kids need me. I got to be there as a parent. So when I was talking to them, I said, you'll walk right by people in New York City, and, probably about 1 out of 10 or 2 out of 10 are have a problem with some kind of substance, maybe even higher than that. And they don't really truly know how many people have a drug addiction problem because people are anonymous. They're not going to be open about if they have an issue or not, and people will use and get clean and never do a statistic. So we don't really know how many people. For some reason, 20 million sticks out in my head out of America. That could be completely false, but for some reason, that's the number that pops in my head that they believe has an issue. But I think it's probably way higher than that. If there's like 350 million people in America, I don't remember how many people, but it's almost like 1 out of 15 or something. I believe it's way higher than that. Especially with how many pharmaceuticals are out there and how many drugs are pushed by doctors. It just seems like that's a really low number. But my point is that you can't tell. There are some tells. If somebody has some pinpoint pupils and they're in a very dark area, that's a show. Because if you're in a very bright area or outside, you can't really tell because most people's pupils will become constricted. But if you're in like a movie theater or somewhere and you look at somebody and the screen isn't bright and their eyes are already pinned, there's a good chance that they're using. If they work at a restaurant, there's a good, no, I'm like kidding. There's a very high abuse of drugs in restaurants. It's just the field. I don't know why, but it's just one of those fields. Chefs, especially, substance abuse is huge, and so is waiters and waitresses, because it's cash, it's quick cash, and it's a rough environment to work in. It's high paced, and you have to be cordial and nice to everybody, even if they're a piece of shit and they complain about everything you bring to the table. You still have to put on a happy face and be nice to them. And that's not easy. The healthcare community, a lot of nurses have issues. Not to mention they're the ones that are giving it out. If the doctor prescribes it, they're the one dispensing it to the patient. It's very easy to fall into that trap where you're supposed to give the person 2 5-milligram Vicodins or 2 10-milligram Vicodins, and you take one of them and just give them one and like another Tylenol or something. It happens all the time. And that's a very rough field the same way, because you have to put on a happy face when these people don't feel well. They don't want to be in the hospital. They're going to say that you're terrible because they're just angry. They don't feel well, and they're going to take it out on you. You're working 12, sometimes 10, 12-hour shifts on a small amount of sleep, and this person's being a pain in the ass because they don't feel well, and they figure, all right, I'll take it out on the nurse, and you have to be happy and smiley and clean their ass, and it's a tough environment to work in. So a lot of them, I'm not going to say everybody, but there's a good amount of people in the healthcare community that have an issue, and it's a tough thing to get out of too, because once you get clean, you're still dispensing those meds unless you request not to do that, but it's part of your job, so it's tough. So I just wanted to hit on that because it's not easy to just look at somebody and say, they have an issue. It's not that simple. All right, so this is a little bit on the lengthy side, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. And I'm gonna jump right in. She says, "Hi Ryan, I'm typing this on my phone because I don't feel like getting my computer out. LOL. My name is Kelly. First name is fine. I'm a realtor and 60-year-old grandma. I have suffered with back and neck pain for most of my life, but dealt with it as best I could. Always in good shape because I would push myself. About 7 years ago, my husband had 2 back surgeries, which he was prescribed hydrocodone, Vicodin. My husband, being who he is, only took it as needed and short term. Since I was helping him a lot and it bothered my back and neck, I decided to take half of one of my husband's hydrocodone pills. I couldn't believe the relief. And soon my husband discovered his pills were being depleted. Although I never left him high and dry since, by then, I decided I would just go to the doctor and get my own. It was easy. Our family doctor would refill up to 2 times back then. Interestingly enough, I can't say that word. My pain got worse. So began my daily use. Usually 3 to 4 pills a day. About 2 years ago, doctors stopped prescribing so easy, so still in pain, I made an appointment with a pain specialist who evaluated my MRI and set me on a course of several injections in my back and neck. This stretched on for a year and my dosage kept increasing. There were many times I was not in the worst pain, but needed to show a client a property or go and evaluate a home to list, and you can bet I was high every time. Last year, my neck pain became so bad, the spine surgeon recommended fusion surgery. I'll never know if it was justified or not, but the pain was so great, I agreed. The surgery went good, and I was recovering pretty good, but did not go to therapy because by then I just wanted more pills. Oh, by the way, I was getting 90 pills every 30 days. I believe since I did not do the right thing and go to therapy, I developed frozen shoulder. Holy cow, now that is some intense pain. And once again, I just took the pills instead of going to therapy. That was March 2017. By now, the doctor seeing my shoulder would not move without intense pain, prescribed Oxy, and I got relief for the first time in a while. But it was short-lived, of course. Let me just fast forward to less than a month ago. I took 40, 10, 325 oxy pills in 9 days. That's 10 milligrams of oxycodone, 325 milligrams of acetaminophen, which is Tylenol. It scared the holy shit out of me. I still had a few left and went to my first physical therapy appointment. By the grace of God, I was appointed the most compassionate therapist. He showed me, even though the therapy was intense and it hurts like hell, it is the only way to get that shoulder back and get rid of the pain. By my third visit, I had only a half a pill and took it knowing it was my last. By the evening, it had started. I just told my hubby I was tired and hid in my room until he went to bed, and then I would go lay in the couch. By the next day, it was full-on withdrawal, and when he came home from work, I told him what was going on. He was so happy, but worried. I told him to please not worry, but just help me a little and ignore me if he could. I was alone all week during the day, and it was hell. The one thing that kept me going was watching your videos over and over. One in particular was crazy. I am embarrassed to say, but I was on the toilet with bad cramps, with my phone, just watching you talk. At the end, you'd say, "Hang in there, guys." You paused and looked so intent at the screen and then said, "And ladies, I thought for sure you could see me." I laughed and it made me know I would be okay. I know this is long and can't keep writing too much. I would like to add that I believe that opiates can and do increase pain if abused. Thank you and God bless for what you do. Oh, by the way, day 7 feels great, just tired and I have pain, but started drinking herbal teas and taking Tylenol and it helps. Therapy is my only way out of pain and I know it. I was not present for so much, just in the room. I can't wait to enjoy real life again. Thank you. God bless. So thank you for sharing. I love hearing stuff like that the videos kept you going. That's what they're there for. And I hope that I can continue on giving good information and keep people watching and helping more and more people as the years go on. All right, so if you want to share your story, email me at ryan@compsupport.com. In the subject line, put YouTube story, my story. Let me know if you want to use your first or last name or stay anonymous. Continue watching, get some relief. Try to take your mind off of things, maybe learn some things, share some stuff in the comment section, some advice if I haven't hit on anything, and let's teach each other as much as we can. All right, have a good one, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.